The scene shifts back to David and begins with a flashback. Again, I'm in Afek, a logical place for the Plishtim to gather before heading north through the Carmel passes. This will require them to be united and prepared in case of a surprise attack while they're most vulnerable. The Plishtim may have been wary that Shaul could choose to ambush them as they make their way from the Sharon area via the Carmel Pass and up to Ein Yizrael. Apparently, despite them camping in the same places previously, Shaul had reason to believe that they were planning to head north to try to attack from another angle. He placed his forces not immediately on the Gilboa, but first down in the valley by Ein Yizrael, just northwest of the Gilboa, right by the most comfortable way back up into the mountain. Perhaps he was trying to display to the Plishtim that he was prepared to fight them in hopes that they would back down. If so, it didn't work. As they make their way into the great northern valley, Shaul and his troops retreat slightly back, up onto the Gilboa, where they'd be safer for the moment. Or maybe he wasn't sure if they would attack directly east up into the mountains from Afek, or if they would continue north as he suspected. He didn't want to split his troops between the two options and needed as much time as he could to prepare for the war. As such, camping directly in the Emek itself could have been a brilliant move. This would force the amassing Plishtim to make a clear and decisive decision to move towards him. If they did attack directly east from Afek, it would leave Shaul and his armies, at least for the moment, in control of the valley. In other words, he used himself as bait to draw the Plishtim to where he had prepared for them, and then withdrew cleverly back up the hill, giving him the advantage when the war breaks out. But why didn't Shaul attack while they were making their way through the Carmel Pass? This isn't a new idea, of course. We have ancient records from hundreds of years earlier in the 15th century before the Common Era, which portray a campaign by Paro Tutmos towards Megiddo and his deliberation and planning. Their main concern was this same obstacle of the Carmel passes. He and his generals were worried that they may be ambushed as they made their way through the bottleneck passages. I saw a fascinating idea that perhaps, while Shaul had reason to believe that the attack would take place in the north, he still had concerns that the Plishtim could split up and open a second front. Would it be inconceivable for them to spring a two-pronged attack, with some troops returning to Afek and making their way back into the mountains as in the past, or Emek or via Nachalat Binyamin? Maybe Shaul did send scouts to keep an eye on them, and sure enough, as the troops prepare to move north, one group breaks off from the rest, starting back south as the others continue north. Why didn't they join the rest? Were they in fact sent to attack from another direction, just as Shaul may have suspected? In this case, it turns out in the end that they hadn't. It was David and his men being sent back south. The other Shranim or Plishti leaders feared that in the heat of battle, David and his men could switch sides and open a second front on them. Of course, the Plishtim had good reason to suspect this. This is exactly what had happened in the past by Michmas. And this time, it was David, who had been a hero in the past. Who knows if he can be relied upon to stay strong against his brothers? They were right. This was exactly what David was planning. This time, it wasn't just a danger of them switching back if they noticed the tides turning and Am Yisrael winning. This is David. He's been fooling Achish all along, pretending to attack his own people while really protecting them from their enemies. David feigns insult and pleads with Achish, "How can you treat me this way? After everything, you still don't really trust me." But to no avail. He's sent back, and Shaul's fate is sealed. David was Shaul's last chance here, but with no choice, he heads back, and his cover hasn't been blown at this point, despite his attempts in vain to save the day again. The war will seem to end in defeat, but Shaul's achievements will be upheld, and the next round will come in its time. For now, though, he heads back south, and though he doesn't know it, as his chance to truly reign rises, he will have to continue where Shaul failed, fighting Amalek.